But since we're pretty much ready to go, we should talk about this movie. I mean, this has been a long time coming, hasn't it? 4 years, in fact, that we've been waiting for a sequel to Captain Marvel. And wow, what a journey it's been. I mean, I will just say, I was talking with Mahler about this earlier. It feels like I've come full circle in like my YouTube career, because Captain Marvel was really the movie that launched my channel. Like, I made a video about it and it went viral, and that was really the beginning of it for me. And so here we are 4 years down the line, and I'm talking about the sequel and how times have changed. Because when that movie came out, the MCU was actually it was like the absolute peak of its influence, its power, and it was churning out billion-dollar hits like one after the other. Those movies just could not fail, and Captain Marvel itself made over $1 billion easily. And now, just look at where it's at. You know, they've had a string of flops. They've had a string of crappy TV shows. And this movie looks set to join the ranks of the flops, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean,
one of the worst,
Yeah, the MCU is in a unbelievably bad position, and like you said, with Captain Marvel, and I've often said that was probably one of the most protected movies I've ever seen in terms of just the strategic release. And again, there's nothing wrong with strategic releases, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, you want to release every film that you want to release. You want to maximize the opportunity, and they basically released that in between Infinity War and Endgame. The teaser didn't the end. Like the end of Infinity War reference Captain Marvel, right?
It did, yeah. Nick Fury vanished.
Very exciting.
And so obviously then you had the Rotten Tomatoes change their score system when that came out.
It's just when Mahler just goes, very exciting.
And yeah. And watching the path to like where we were then and the celebration around Captain Marvel, even though I haven't seen Captain Marvel, thank you, Mahler, for your unbridled rage. Because that's the only.
You guys be surprised how many people have told me that. Like, I didn't watch the film. Watched your video though.
Yes.
I've seen the film essentially.
Yes, yeah. Just like the other day we were talking about this, and Ryan says, "Well, if you're seeing the Marvels, Jeremy, you got to watch Captain Marvel first." I said, "I'll just watch Mahler's video again." How about that? But yeah, so now that we are at this place, I mean, there is no enthusiasm. I've seen them try to change the expectations, but the fact is whatever this movie is going to do at the box office, whether it's $50 to $60 million, it's a colossal disaster. Coming off of Captain Marvel, which did what, a 150, 160 domestically opening weekend, the enthusiasm's not there. And it's not just this movie; it's representative of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. It's not a good place. It's in a really bad place.
It's interesting as well, because I mean, we'll get to talk about the movie itself shortly, but the trailers that led up to it, they tried every possible approach with this. They tried the humor, like the quirky, goofy comedy approach, where it was all lighthearted. Then they've tried the super serious. This is like on the same level as Thanos, and it references all the classic heroes from the Avengers, like Iron Man and stuff. And they want to paint it as like this epic adventure that's full of poignant drama. They've done everything, and still no one cares.
Yeah. I think that was pretty embarrassing. The whole of Twitter I saw lit up with what is this? Like, wait, is Iron Man's gonna be in this? It's like, no.
They've even tried live streaming a bunch of cats in a room, because if that doesn't draw people in, I don't know. I throw my hands up.
Man, as someone who saw the movie, as other people have here, they really went hard on the Flurkins. They were, they really wanted that to work for this movie, which is all right,
Well, I know, like a reference that Chris, you were on Geeks and Gamers yesterday talking about this.
Yeah.
You many times you brought up a Quest for Peace, Superman 4, and how it's not a good movie. It's not a good movie, and it's not. And I agree, it's not a good movie. I love it still, and why do I love it? Because of Christopher Reeve, because of Gene Hackman, because there are things in the movie that I can look back on that and go, this is not a good movie, and it doesn't make me angry, but there are things about it that I connect to that I can still love. And obviously Reeve as Superman Clark Kent is going to be always gold because it's legendary, but at least there's likable things within this bad movie that I can look to and go, okay, I can at least appreciate certain aspects of it. Whereas now I haven't seen the Marvels yet, but you can just look at the characters that we have that are making up this film, and it appears none of them are relatable or likable. So even though you have a horrible film, if you can have some relatable characters that are still kind of okay, that works for me, then you can forgive it in certain aspects. There seems to be none of that in this at all.
I will say, at the very least, Kamala Khan is quite likable in it. I think some of it's down to the actress just being quite a likable person. She's fine. You can tell she's quite excited to be there and stuff, and she fits that role of like the young protege pretty well. Believe it or not, and this is going to shock you, but Brie Larson is actually okay in it. Like, she's got way more personality than she had in the first Captain Marvel, which is not difficult. I mean, like, this fucking can of Coke has got more personality than the first Captain Marvel. But there's something there. They clearly allowed her to do something and show a little bit of emotion. So it's not purely the characters, but it's just a horrendously written, horrendously edited, horrendously paced movie. It's a complete mess. And the overriding thing I felt, and I was saying this to Mahler earlier today, it was just a kind of feeling of sadness and pity. You know, it's like I likened it to running into like a high school bully like 10 years down the line, and he's like fat and he's covered in piss and he's like got like a drug problem or something, and he's just like this pathetic soul who's ruined his life, and you don't feel any sense of like schadenfreude over it. You just feel kind of sad for him, and I feel like that's kind of what I felt for this movie. It's just so beaten down and so chopped up and so ruined, and there's nothing to it. Like there's no sense of like, oh yeah, this is a defiant last stand or anything. It's nothing.
Do you think can I ask you a question? Because do you think that you're saying Brie is not too bad because of the low expectations you have?
Probably. I mean,
kind of like
it's all relative, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because like if I compare her to the first Captain Marvel, yeah, like she's 100% more likable in this. But if I was to compare her to something like, I don't know, Marion from Raiders of the Lost Ark or something, like a really interesting, fun character, it's like it's like night and day, obviously. But we're fighting for the scraps at this point when it comes to like characters in the MCU. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'll be the one to say though they assassinated her. Unfortunately, not that anyone's gonna give a shit. Captain Marvel in this movie did some horrendous things that she's not held accountable for at all.